Hi everyone, it's Yvette Blowitz and welcome to the SPAITGIRL Talk Show podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you in this online audio space and with our very special guest who I'm welcoming back, who is Dr. Tara Well. She is a mirror gazing expert as well as a research scientist, motivational psychologist, and professor of psychology at Columbia University. But the most important thing is she helps everybody globally, women, men, children, you name it, to be able to practice more self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, and having the power to look at yourself in the mirror and accept and love what you see, which ultimately is yourself. So Tara, welcome back to the SPAITGIRL Talk Show podcast. How are you?
I'm great. It's lovely to be back and lovely to see you again. I'm here in New York and happy to reach out to your audience.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple of years now since we actually caught up in video form. Do you know what? I credit a lot of overcoming my own body image issues, looking in the mirror and seeing what I see, thanks to your mirror meditation practice. So it was truly when you taught me the ability of how to literally look at myself in the mirror for 10 minutes not with my eyes closed, with my eyes open. And I had to let every thought arise and fall. And it was at first very confronting. My mind wanted to be, no, I don't want to be here. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of this situation. And, looking at yourself in the mirror, it ultimately, when I was a little kid, I used to love doing it. I used to love looking at myself in the mirror. And then when I became an adult and was consuming like social media content and, just things that people say or things that you hear, like it all affects your mental health or what you're thinking, feeling. So, but through the mirror meditation, I truly credit how I was able to take my self-hate thoughts on and become more accepting and kinder and more compassionate towards myself. So when I look in the mirror now, no self-hate thoughts come up, and it's just me looking in the mirror, which is really, really liberating and really amazing, because I'm not beating myself up and I'm not going to war with myself anymore. And my headspace is really in a good headspace. So thank you, Tara. It's been like such a gift what you offer, have founded and create too.
That's so great to hear that that's worked for you and that you're doing it regularly. And I mean, that's the thing. I think the mirror can be so confronting for us because most of us have critical voices inside our heads, and the mirror actually kind of externalizes those. So then we see how critical we are, and we kind of look at ourselves and try to look for flaws and things that are wrong with us. And that inner critic gets awakened, and then we start criticizing. And so we think by avoiding the mirror and looking at ourselves, we can avoid the self-criticism. But that self-criticism is still inside of us. So the mirror really gives us a tool to confront the critic and then to transform it into more loving and compassionate thoughts, and to also just accept ourselves for who we are. We're not perfect. No one, if you're human, you're not perfect. So everybody has, I work with supermodels and actors and dancers, and even if the majority of people think they look perfect, they don't think they look perfect. They always think they have some little flaw or something that they're trying to correct. And really, that's just kind of our human nature to always look for problems and flaws. And so we need to counteract that by just taking up an observer's perspective and seeing how these critical thoughts affect us. And in the mirror, we can see that.
Yeah. Now, Tara, for everyone who's tuning in globally, can you tell them a little bit about yourself before we dive into some other topics? like mirror meditation, prepping for Zoom, video conferences, and all of these amazing things that we're now being challenged with due to COVID-19. But for someone out there who doesn't know you, can you just give the audience an all-round, who are you, where are you based, and what do you love most about what you do also?
Sure. Well, I am a professor at Columbia University and Barnard College in New York City. I've been here for about 25 years, and I enjoy living in New York and the city, and the energy that's involved and how we deal with changes as a group, I think is amazing. I have always been interested in motivation and how people's motives and what they're trying to do and what they want in life affect how they perceive the world around them. And one of the ways that I've been curious about this is by doing my own meditation practice. And in meditation, what you oftentimes do is you try to sit still and kind of like focus on your breathing and let go of any thoughts. But oftentimes a lot of thoughts do come up, and a lot of thoughts come up around ourselves and critical thoughts and problems and issues that we have. And so I discovered kind of spontaneously to start using the mirror as a meditation tool, because I found that oftentimes I wasn't always aware of how I was feeling, because when I was a kid, I used to like looking in the mirror and making faces. We used to have a chrome toaster on the table when I was a kid, and I would make faces in the mirror for as long as my parents would let me. And then
I love that. That's so cute.
It was so cute and so much fun, I remember. But then, as I grew older, I kind of got shamed out of that. And I developed an orientation toward the mirror to be self-critical, as many young girls do, in terms of my body wasn't perfect and this and that needed to be changed. So I started to avoid the mirror and to associate it with self-criticism in terms of how my body looked. And then one day I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I was shocked by how sad and distressed I looked, because I hadn't realized I felt that way. I'd been just sort of walking around feeling like I felt fine and just smiling and thinking that I was fine. And I realized that when I was trying to cultivate this image, this kind of like cool together image, I had lost touch with how I was actually feeling inside. And so I started to use the mirror not as a way to monitor my appearance, but to really focus on how I was feeling and to just sit with myself and watch myself feel. And this had a number of benefits for me. It really liberated my feelings in a number of ways. It changed my relationships with other people. I realized that I didn't want to be in relationships with people who didn't want to see my feelings, who only wanted me to be happy and smiling all the time. So I developed more of a compassionate relationship with myself, so that my sense of wanting to be in relationship with other people was more related to needing to be authentic, and for there to be a sense of mutual kindness and compassion between us as we met. I wasn't interested in just doing whatever I had to do to be nice and cheery and happy. And I was that way a lot of the time, but I wanted to be able to feel all my emotions.
Wow, that's so empowering. I wanted to feel all of your emotions and express that and feel that. I can really resonate with that. So at the moment with COVID-19, as you know, one of the most amazing things I'm seeing is we are being inspired to express our feelings, say how we're feeling. And like you said, just not putting on the everything's fine face, hello, everything's good face. And you're right. And one of the hardest things, women who reach out to me, even with SPAITGIRL, which is all about visiting the spa, practicing self-care, self-love, and inwards, focusing attention inwards, so getting from inwards healthy, outwards healthy. But one of the things that a lot of women are struggling with at the moment, Tara, not just women, can relate to all men too, and girls, but is that during COVID-19, we are being inspired and encouraged to do Zoom, which we're doing today. but videos, Zoom conferences. So now we're having virtual meetings with our work colleagues, having to look at ourselves literally in the mirror, but looking at ourselves on a computer screen, or if we're doing a live, even on our phone. So gurus are saying, okay, you know, if you own a spa or a business, now's a good time to do a video. Even elderly people are being inspired to do FaceTime with their family. And there's so much going on at the moment. But there are a lot of people who are not comfortable with, one, talking on camera, two, seeing themselves in the mirror literally or via Zoom on the big screen. Do you have any tips for prepping for video conferencing, talking on video, which is now our new norm? So before we could talk to someone in a meeting room and there was no record of it, but yeah, how can we prep now? How can that person out there who totally hates the idea of having to talk on camera via any of these social media apps for their work business, how can they or we as a community prep and get really mentally prepared for this new COVID reality that we're now living in?
Well, this is the question of the moment because it's on everyone's mind, and everyone has noticed themselves in the little Zoom camera. And when we see our own reflection, there's a whole psychology and neuroscience behind seeing our reflections. And so when we first see our reflections, it evokes a sense of self-consciousness. So we come to see how we look to other people. So it's kind of like when you hear your voice on a tape recorder, or you hear your voice on a message service or something, and then you're like, ooh, is that my voice? Because we're not used to hearing our voice from the same perspective as we hear it. And the same is true with our visual image. We're used to seeing ourselves in a certain way, sometimes differently in the mirror than we do on a camera. And we're also used to having conversations in which we don't see ourselves in the background. So that pulls our attention away, again, looking for problems, looking for threats, thinking that it's something unusual that we're seeing. So I do have some suggestions. I'm actually putting together a webinar, which is more intensive, but just to give you a few highlights of some of the things that I've discovered that we're going to be covering in depth. One is just to, in terms of your appearance, what you want to do before you get on the Zoom call is just even turn on your camera on your computer without recording and take a look at what you look like. It's great to have the camera positioned so it's eye level, so that your face, your eye level with the other people that you're going to be talking with. That's going to create a sense of equalness, in the sense of sometimes if we're like really pushed back or something like this, we might be trying to avoid seeing ourselves on the camera, but we're also creating an image that people can't quite get to us. So we want to make sure that we show up for other people. We also don't want to be looking up over people. A lot of people do this, and that creates a feeling like that you're looking down on people, and that can actually create a visceral response in people that they don't want to have you looming over them. So and it's interesting because when you're on camera, you might not be thinking, but you're having all kinds of like a physiological response to what you're seeing, to how you're connecting with the other people. And because it's more difficult to connect with other people through Zoom than it is in face-to-face, you want to make it as easy as possible on yourself. So you want to make sure your camera's positioned, and then you want to just make sure that you look in a way that you're comfortable looking. So makeup, no makeup, wear what you want to wear that makes you feel, professional and good, and show up the way you want, and do that ahead of time so that you're not, criticizing yourself in the background on it. So generally I tend to wear like brighter colors, and I do my hair and makeup when I get on the Zoom calls. So I just feel better when I do that. The other thing is people have been talking about Zoom exhaustion. And this is when you have too many Zoom calls a day, people are just exhausted. They're trying to figure out why. Well, there are all kinds of different reasons. And some of it is because we have a limited amount of nonverbal information. Because generally when we're interacting in person, we see people's whole bodies and we see how they're interacting. And on Zoom, you know, if you have a whole group of people, you can have some people like walking around with a camera and you're trying to like focus on them, or they got their pets or their kids in the background and all kinds of things going on.
Yes.
So it's like you're so busy trying to, you know, grasp onto what's happening with people. So one of the best ways to avoid being exhausted is to really do that grounding and centering, to feel your breathing. You know, generally when I'm just on a call with one other person, because I actually do mirror meditation sessions on Zoom in which we use the mirror, the Zoom camera as a mirror.
Wow.
So I've been doing this before we started really, you know, doing it. And what I advise people to do, or I help people do, is to really ground into their physical bodies, because we tend to have our energy up here when we're on video camera. And so you bring your energy down so you can feel your feet on the ground. And then doing the full breathing, so your belly breathing. And you can actually get in sync with the person you're interacting with, as we oftentimes do when we're in actual face-to-face communication. So you want to focus on really making that connection with yourself and then connecting with the other person, so that you can sort of feel into them in a way and just are present with them in the moment. And that can be tremendously calming for both parties, because we need face-to-face contact and kind of that human mirroring in which we see each other, and we oftentimes mirror our gestures or our facial expressions. And that's how we regulate our emotions and calm ourselves down, and how we come to know how we're feeling is through the reflections we get from other people. So in the Zoom space, we need to make the extra effort to make that connection, because there's this infrastructure in between to make that connection. And the face-to-face is interesting because it's like we can't quite make direct eye contact. Like I can look into your eyes, but as I'm looking into your eyes, we can't do it exactly. So what I do sometimes too on calls is I have people, you know, just take a moment to, like, everyone on the call will look at one person, and then that one person might feel self-conscious, but they'll also get the feeling that they're really being seen and acknowledged for being on the call. And then we'll shift to another person. We'll just look at them, and then we'll look at the other person, then we'll look at the other person. And that helps everybody get coordinated as though they're part of a group on the call. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to become more aware of yourself in ways that we typically avoid, because when we're in relationships to other people and talking to them, our attention is completely outward, and we're focusing on them. But here we're kind of focusing on ourselves and focusing on them, and in this modality, it's like they used to say when I was a kid, walking and talking and chewing gum at the same time. How can you be aware of yourself, aware of the other person, and then be cultivating a connection? It takes a bit of practice, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, they're amazing tips, Tara. Like, thank you so much for sharing, because you just reminded me of a Zoom I've recently been on. It was totally chaotic. There were so many people, so many side-by-side screens, and there was so much chaos going on. We had kids, you're right, we had dogs, we had one person even left their chair and wasn't there, and everyone's like, where is such and such? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? And then there's someone's trying to do a talk, and it was just like kids running, Dad, Mom. It was just like so much chaos. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is hectic, these Zooms. Like, I've never had to deal with people, cats, dogs, you name it, like people going missing in Zooms, and then kids. And Oh, like chaos. So I really resonate when you talked about Zoom exhaustion. I'm like, oh yes, that sounds like what I just experienced the other day. Because normally in a workplace, we're not dealing with people's dogs, kids screaming, and even there's no way in a million years someone would just walk out and go to the toilet. They'd probably hold it for the ending of the toilet. Ending of the meeting was just all chaos. So I can really resonate with what's going on with the Zoom. And every magazine and every person that is on media is like, Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. I think it's the number one trending thing that's going on globally at the moment. And I think
Yes.
they said once they talked about the Zoom app, they've had so many downloads and people accessing Zoom.
I know. We should have all bought stock in Zoom. Who knew?
We should have. And I think like Zoom is never going away. I honestly believe that now businesses, and I'm talking to a lot of business owners who are even saying, wow, this is so amazing. We're going to keep doing Zoom because we've just worked out we no longer have to fly Betty and Bob in a plane to actually go and have their state meeting anymore. State meetings are out. We're just going to save money by doing the Zoom meeting because it's just as good as catching up in person. So I love these tips. And so the webinar, how are we going to be able to actually sign up for that webinar? Because I know there's going to be a lot of people thinking, okay, I need to learn a little bit more so on not dealing with the cats and dogs and kids in the Zoom, but more so looking at themselves or prepping so they feel comfortable in their own skin, and prepping so they feel prepared, and prepping so they're not self-criticizing.
Right. Yes, you're right. Zoom is here to stay. So getting good at it is going to be a very important skill, both for business and socially. So getting comfortable with seeing yourself on camera and being seen is what my mirror meditation is all about. So I'm happy that I can contribute something positive to this at this particular juncture. I have my website is mirrormeditation.com, and on it I actually have a 7-day mirror meditation challenge that your listeners can sign up for free, in which you get one mirror meditation lesson every day for 7 days, and it'll get you started on your own mirror meditation practice, which will help you to feel more comfortable in front of the mirror and to be more self-accepting, more compassionate, more aware of your critical thoughts and emotions. And then I will be sending you an invitation, everyone who's on the list for the 7-day challenge, an invitation to the Zoom webinar, which is going to be about 90 minutes. And I'll be able to also take your questions. And then it'll also be recorded. So if people can't attend it live, they'll be able to get a copy of it and then also refer back to it. And I'm really excited about it because it's only going to be 90 minutes, but I have so much like research and information and tips packed into the 90 minutes. And I'm also happy to have people send me your questions. I have a contact form on my website. If people have specific questions about Zoom chats or looking at themselves in the mirror or anything, they should definitely reach out to me because I'm happy to help. And it's just kind of an interesting synchronicity that I've been doing this for a while, and now suddenly everybody's looking at themselves. So everybody wants to know, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, and how am I going to become looking at myself? Because so many women I even know are saying, one of the number one concerns I was seeing on beauty magazines and even with beauty bloggers is like, COVID-19, I can't. One of the biggest concerns, believe it or not, which the priority wasn't at the time, but it was how women and girls couldn't have fillers, Botox. And a lot of these people, girls, women, were saying, how am I going to go and do my Zoom? I don't want anyone to see me. I haven't had my Botox. I haven't had my injections in my face, my fillers. And I was really lucky at the time because I don't rely on other people, like as in a service, say like as in cosmetic surgery or injections and stuff. I was really lucky because I didn't need someone else. I didn't need to book in for an appointment for a service to feel confident in going on the Zoom or talking on the camera. And I've actually seen a lot of women, though, who had to stop doing social media because even they were saying, okay, the reason until I can go and see my cosmetic surgery or whatever it might be, I can't be seen this way. So I think what I've learned is why I really wanted to also bring you on the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast is to help those girls and women. Okay, what if you can't, during a global pandemic or global crisis, or moving forward, okay, we got COVID-19, but moving forward in the way we work now with coronavirus and things, what if you can't get to have that treatment that you rely on, that you need to have in order to feel good or in order to look at yourself in the mirror? What happens when you can't get it? And I think that's why the mirror meditation can be so powerful for the days of what if you can't get the treatment? What if you can't get those wrinkles, out? What if your face really drops? What if your lips really flatten out and you just don't feel that you can look at yourself? So that's why I thought, wow, this mirror meditation has a lot of power in so many different ways. So they have now opened up where women and girls and guys can go and get the injections and the surgery and things like this now for their face. But I do believe that I personally believe, and a lot of people who follow Spirit Girl love to get, say, an organic facial or love being natural. And I do believe the natural beauties who weren't as self-critical, at least we could get on the camera and go, oh, I've never had that problem before. Like I've never needed, say, an injection to be able to do a Zoom. But that's why I think, Tara, the whole mirror meditation can really help those women or girls or guys. It's unisex now. And that's another reason I really wanted to get you online. Because I even have like someone who listens to the podcast show who said, there is no way I'm stopping my Botox. As soon as I can get back and get my fillers in my lips and my Botox, I'm there. But until then, I don't want to be seen on camera. And she wouldn't even accept going live with me because she's like, I'm not going live. I haven't seen my cosmetic. So this is going to be, this is really happening, really happening. So,
and I mean, and there is research showing that, the more you feel like you have to do to be, sort of in the public eye or to go out socially with your appearance to be acceptable, the more social anxiety you're going to have if you can't do all those things. So it can really be something that can limit your, your activities, if you feel like if you have the belief system that you don't look good enough to show up in person until you have all these treatments. So I think this is a great opportunity for women to challenge that belief that they might have, that they need to have all these treatments in order to show up. What would it be like if they just accepted themselves and showed up in their natural beauty? And because the thing about it is too, I mean, at least in New York, I mean, all our salons and everything are still closed, and they probably will be for a while. So everybody is in the same boat. So that's the thing too. What a great opportunity to build self-acceptance for yourself and other people. You're seeing people in like their natural habitat, their home with their kids and their whole life. And then you're seeing what they really look like. It's like this huge reveal, and so why not have compassion around it for yourself and other people? Everybody's doing the best they can. And it's like, kind of like it's stripping away a layer of our facades that we think we need. Do we really need that? Can
You're
we love
right.
ourselves without those little things that we think we have to show up?
You're right, because it even comes down to like getting your hair colored, your hair cut, all of your beauty treatments. They did come to an absolute grinding halt for COVID-19 and safety and hygiene, and because it's a contact to contact coronavirus. And it really is true. Like watching even some women that I've never seen without, they're getting on their lives and they're like, oh, I haven't done my hair and makeup, which is something I do quite a lot and openly talk about. But because I've been practicing that for so many years now, so when the pandemic happened, I was okay with showing up, no hair, no makeup, no beauty treatments, whatever. But I've been really fascinated in watching how you mentioned the natural beauty, how women and girls now have to go, okay, I need to accept myself for who I am. So I'm really grateful that I will be making sure I put all of the links in the SPAITGIRL YouTube and also on the podcast page so people can connect with you, be part of that amazing 7-day opportunity. I call it opportunity because it's an opportunity to stop that little inner critic when you look at yourself on Zoom or in the mirror and it's like, oh my God, I'm aging and I have so many wrinkles. This whole kerfuffle. Oh my God, I don't look beautiful. Oh my God, I look fat. Oh my, like, and all of these things are happening. I look like shit. I don't look well. I need to lose weight. I need this. I need this. So like all that thoughts, all of that mind chatter, all of that can all actually, like, to the point with your mirror meditation, just be zoop out.
You can let it go.
And it's so much nicer when you don't have all that mind chatter beating you up, talking to you, like you've got all of these crazy,
and then once you do this for a while, then you come to associate seeing yourself with a relaxation response, feeling calm and self-acceptance rather than those critical voices. You have to practice to, remove that association of criticism, but then you replace it with self-acceptance, self-compassion, and feeling a sense of calm when you see yourself instead of like agitation and wanting to criticize yourself. But it's a process, and it definitely works if you do it regularly. And the 7 days gives you an opportunity. If you really do it, you'll really see a shift over the course of 7 days.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said. It's a process. It comes with practice. So even when Zoom just took off because of COVID-19, I had to just, like you say, turn up earlier, like get yourself ready, get yourself like dressed like you're going to work, prep like you would be going into that traditional meeting, but at home, and then make sure you've got enough time to set up the Zoom, get your cup of coffee, relax, sit, like just to ground yourself before you even hit record. Because if you're all flustered because you can't get the connection, and that really doesn't set you up either for feeling calm on camera. So I've learnt the hard way, Tara, that technology, it can be challenging. And when everybody was using COVID, like during COVID-19, the whole world literally was on Zoom and on internet. So it can even take longer to just set up the connection. But Tara, so you're in New York City during COVID-19. I definitely was always thinking about you, yourself and all of the rest of New York City. We have this very strong bond with New York City, anyone that's traveled there and loves it, and that's for the whole world. But we were watching COVID-19 play out, where for the first time in my life, I had kind of seen no one in, say, the footage was there was not one person in New York Times Square. and in the busy street, and we were hearing all of the devastating news of the numbers rising with COVID-19 and sadly people passing. And it was just so much happening. But how have you like been able to adapt? Like, how do you actually keep healthy and well and exercise and now work from, you have to go from like going to your clinic or going about your day to now being at home? Like, how can someone even cope with just the knowing that they can't just go and do what they want? You know, they can't just go to the spa, or they can't just go and have dinner with their friends. And, you know, it was just a big lifestyle change, as well as we were carrying a burden that if we went out and caught the COVID-19, we would literally told them we could then give that to someone, and then that could actually cause our loved one to die.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very big weight to carry.
Mm-hmm.
Like no work, you know, can't go to work, then you can't do your usual lifestyle. Then we were told if we go out and get it, we'll have it, we won't know if we're infecting someone, and then it could be up, you know, our responsibility. We could, our loved one, our elderly loved one could die, and that would be because we didn't know. Like, it was so much to take on. Seriously, yeah. It was a big lifestyle change, happened very quickly, very rapidly. How can someone just even fathom all of this, you know, and cope and stay well? Like, what have you done during this time to stay healthy and well? Or what could someone else do who's still in New York City, or say in the Maldives and Mali, they're still in lockdown, can't leave their houses? What can someone do to feel well?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been in lockdown since I was last in a public space on March 10th. So that's been like over 2 months. And other than just being in the lobby of my apartment building, that's it. So, yeah, but I'm tremendously busy connecting with people in Zoom. I've been more busy in my work than ever before because so many people need support for anxiety and the huge shifts that are going on in lifestyle and economically. I think for me too, you know, I really call upon my meditation practice, which is about keeping my attention in the present moment. Being able to calm myself with my breath, feeling my body. I do yoga every day. I have an exercise bike here, and I also exercise outside. So I do get out to the park, but I haven't been in any enclosed public space since March. I think too, just the knowing that we're more interdependent than we really think we are. We think we're just, you know, before COVID, we thought we're just walking around, you know, we don't know this person, don't know this person. I'm just on the street, you know, in my own little world. And now we come to realize just how interdependent we are with other people, that we can catch this virus and then we can transmit this virus, and it can have devastating consequences for people we don't even know. And that just because we're not aware of people or we choose not to interact with people when we're in close proximity to them does not mean that we're not having an impact on them. I think that's really important to realize. And also the idea that for me, a lot of things also that I thought were really important kind of fell away when I got very, very busy with everything, you know, a number of, you know, different types of things that I was following on social media. And like, I think, you know, I got invited to a Zoom event like every hour of every day since March. And it's like, you know, and this is like, what's really important right now? What's really important right now? And I keep coming back to that all the time. And that has really helped me think about, you know, who are the people in my life that are most important to reach out to keep in touch with, and who are, you know, more people that aren't as essential, or commitments that I can let go of now, that I'm more focused on what's really important to me now and moving forward with my life. Whereas before it was kind of a lot of noise in the background. And I'm like, I only want to do, you know, a couple of Zoom calls a day, or I want to, you know, only you know, with friends, and I do work Zoom calls or whatever. But it's about paring down where my attention goes, because I want to be centered. And I also see that the energy it takes to make these connections with people these days too. So it's about feeling more connected with people, and then also about prioritizing how I reach out to people and how I spend my time.
Yeah, I love those words of wisdom, because what you have experienced, I have experienced too here in Australia. So, my mum's been in aged care though for 6 years, very unwell, but she's now got the blood clots on her lungs, and we were told it's fatal, and she's been in hospital. So much has been going on. But what I've learnt during this period was, before I was trying to say connected with so many people, so many groups, so many topics, like it was hectic. And what I've learned is, just like you said, just I've gone back to simplified my life in a way. Like, what I've learned is who do I really need there to be there for? Who really needs me? Who do I really need in my life? Like, strong connection. And see, prior to COVID-19, I can even be guilty of not being so connected regularly with even my own family, because I'd be like, oh, I'm so busy, I've got this on, I'm busy with work, da, 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 da. And that just flipped. That totally flipped. It was like your family is most important. And then even when I realized, even with thousands and thousands of followers, none of the numbers matter in the end. None of those numbers mattered. What I've learned, it's not about the numbers and how many followers. It's about how truly connected are you with people. And what I've learned during the good times and the bad times is, during these challenging times, you really learn who you're most connected with. And it's about real connection, really having that real conversation, and having real conversations with real people, that takes time, energy, effort, and it's about connectiveness with that person. And that's what I've really learned in the end. I've learned that, see, some people reach out and say, sorry to hear about your mom, I'm praying for you, I'm thinking of you. And because they've sent me a DM, that's really got me thinking, wow, this person is truly, like, just so 100% supportive of my work, really is truly compassionate, has a lot of empathy. And even for them to reach out and send that is so empowering and inspiring. And so that is, to me, a real connection, compared to, say, the person just likes the photo and actually might not have read or not even read, okay, this is happening in my life. So it's that really, I've just been really inspired by people now who have the time to consume the content, to take it in. And I feel like now we've slowed down a lot, where instead of trying to fit in, say, 100 pieces of consuming 100 pieces of content even in a day, we're like, okay, I'm going to learn about this topic, say mirror meditation. I'm just going to focus on this one thing. And that's good. That's enough. I don't need to learn 101 new things today, but one new topic is really great for my self-development, self-improvement. So I'm finding, even for me as a content creator, that learning and focusing on one thing, because prior to COVID-19, Tara, I was trying to multitask so much. Like,
Yeah, you're doing so
wow,
much, my God.
wow, with the travel and this and that, and everybody was in the same boat. I had so many women saying, I just wish I could spend time at home. I need more time at home. They were multitasking, going to work, multitasking with the kids, and they were trying to build a public figure following on Instagram, working their blog on the side or their side hustle. And we didn't realize we were accepting so many invitations. We were cramming so much in. We did not realize at the peak of how we were operating. It was so intense. It was so intense to the point where even the mind or the brain could be easily overwhelmed by trying to do too much. And you know what I've learned? I've even become healthier during COVID-19 because it's like I've left the foot off the accelerators, just gone back that nice bit. You know, I've gone from 100
Just coasting a little, why not?
To 60 Ks. And it's like, this is a good pace. This is actually manageable. And I've been able to read books. Like I, launched the SPAITGIRL book club, but we're having time to read books, which is great for my book. It Starts With Me, which is on Amazon, plug. But it's just been feeling like it's been a really great gift in terms of mental health. And like, even though everybody's talking about how challenging it is, how there's so much anxiety during COVID, people getting sick, people losing their jobs. But I at least feel, for me, all of that's still happening in my world. The fact I could lose my mum today or tomorrow, or a loved one, or the fact that COVID-19's there and the economy isn't great. That's still happening. But the ability to, for me now, just to prioritize, slow down, do the meditation, be inspired. Like people are saying, go for a walk, go for a walk. I've never seen so many people out going for the walk. Whereas before we'd be like, oh, we're too busy, we're too exhausted traveling to and from work. We don't have enough time. The priorities weren't, even though there are a lot of people saying, go for a walk, that priority is being received loud and clear. The priority of meditation and taking care of our health. But would you say that as well, Tara, like COVID-19, sometimes even in media, mainstream media, they might focus on, sadly, the people who are dying or the deaths or the number of people contracting it. So we can get in a very anxious state, like to the point where I was, or people were so anxious about even just touching a door handle and thinking, shit, if I touch the door handle, if it's got coronavirus, and then I wipe my face, I could get it. Like the panic and the anxiety. But now I feel like there's been a shift in Australia where we go, it's there, it's not going away at the moment. We have to learn how to adapt with going out to get that takeaway coffee, or going out for that walk, or going out to get groceries, or we're just coming back to work at the moment in Australia. So they're easing restrictions where we're now allowed to have, say, 10 people sit down in the coffee shop, just 10 people only, social distancing. But we're coming to a mindset where we're like, okay, COVID-19 is still out there. We don't know exactly out there where, but it's there. We're aware, but we have to learn how to now continue washing our hands, continue hand sanitizing, continue believing that if we try and do our best to practice 1.5, to practice social distancing, just to be mindful of, okay, we've got these measures in place. Let's just practice it. Let's get good at it. And let's sort of drop that anxiety, fear state and go, okay, we've got this. We can practice this. We can work through the process. If there is an outbreak, okay, we know that a town might get quarantined, shut down, stopped. But let's just see if we can cope with practicing this instead of just be so fearful to not touch the door handle because we think it might not even happen. But we think but we were in a fear base that even if we touch the door handle or something, we could, like, there was 100% we could get it. The fear was so intense. Do you feel even in New York City or maybe even America, or do you feel there's a kind of switch of mindset, like, okay, now we know it's there, how are we going to cope and deal and go about our day-to-day living?
Yeah, I think that you're right. It's easy to get swept up in the fear, and the media tend to focus on the fear. I mean, there's millions of people in New York City, so we had a number of people die and a number of people infected, but the ratio of people who are healthy who don't have it far exceeds the numbers that have contracted it, and then certainly then the number of people who've died from it. So that's always important to remember, not to diminish the terrible tragedy that so many
Yes,
people
yes.
died.
Yeah.
But we also have a great governor who's very good at reminding us that it's up to us, that how we control the virus is by, using safety practices, wearing a mask and maintaining social distance. And the research really shows that wearing a mask helps. So, I mean, that's one of the cool things about, now everybody, all these fashion masks and everything. And so one of the things I'm starting to think about, people are asking me, well, how can I smile with my eyes? And how can I show that I'm, happy and underneath my mask, how do I keep being able to be social while I have this mask on? And so
Yeah.
that's a whole new thing. So
True.
I think that the message to get out of fear is to really realize that you have control over it, that actually the spread of the virus happens through people.
Mm.
So if people practice these take these precautions,
Mm.
they won't spread the virus. And so that's it, and it works both ways. Some people are extremely fearful, and then other people don't think it's like a hoax or it's nothing.
Yes.
And that's another extreme way of dealing with it. That's also very leads to a lot of suffering, because I don't
Mm.
know if there's going to be spikes in the outbreaks. We had a big holiday weekend, and the media was taking pictures of people who weren't obeying social distancing.
Yes, yes, they're very good at that. They're very good at picking the one or two. And I
Finding,
think,
right.
yeah, they're very good at picking. And I think that was the thing, is even in Australia, all of the news coming out from New York City was totally devastating, and deepest sympathies to the families and friends and community who've lost their loved ones during COVID-19. It wasn't great at all. That's really sad and tragic and just so upsetting for them. But what I did learn was it was only really bad news and devastating news that we were getting bombarded with as well, that was coming from New York City. And it was only really because I was following a girl that I met from Daily Mail, who I met at Pullman's Maldives, Jennifer, who was just showing real life. So she was putting on the mask in New York City, braving it and going out to do that walk. Then she was going to get her takeaway drink. And it showed a different side of New York City, where she too, and yourself, but where she was actually having to still live and take care of herself in New York City, even with the threat of the pandemic. So what I've learned is I've overcome the anxiety even myself by what you said, knowing I have the power to implement what's recommended. I have the power to wash my hands. I have the power to hand sanitize after I come out of the grocery shop. I have the power to be really mindful, and I do this when I go to the grocery store, to see someone right there, just to wait a minute, because they might not have even noticed I'm there wanting to get the cereal off the shelf, and I just say, excuse me, oh, and the little old lady yesterday said, oh, okay, and she'll let me through. So it's just really being mindful and practicing a lot of mindfulness. And because I know I'm practicing what's required, it really just takes the anxiety out of it, because I know in my heart of hearts I'm doing everything I possibly can when I'm out in public or going about my day to prevent it. So I feel like the switch from the I can't do anything, there was this really big mindset, even if we washed our hands and sanitized in 1.5 meters, we'd still get it. So we've gone from it's a really better headspace to be in. So I really inspire everyone, if you are still feeling anxious, just feel, Tara, and you would recommend this too, feel that you have the power to implement what's required, and just trust that you're doing all you can. If you're a spa owner, they've got a lot of, every business now has so many requirements they have to do for hygiene. And I feel that if we can just do our best, then that's going to take a lot of pressure off our day-to-day lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But Tara, I could talk to you all day about New York City because I love
great catching up with you.
and I could talk all day with you actually about mirror meditation. I literally love the work you do. I really love the work you do. It's so inspiring, empowering. Having a really good relationship with ourselves, as they say, is the number one relationship is yourself. Like, I hear this all the time. It's so true, isn't it, Tara? Like,
yes, indeed. It's our longest relationship. Your longest relationship you ever have is with yourself. So
yes, and getting to know yourself. So one of the things I learned with mirror meditation, it allowed me to just sit with me, myself, get to know myself again, because I used to do that a lot when I was a little kid, just sit on the floor, look in the mirror. Like, I spent a lot of time just with me. I didn't need, like, sometimes I had play friends and they would be totally annoying. And sometimes I'd have the best play friends. But that's one of the things I love about your mirror meditation is by meditating and using the mirror, it allows all these things to come up, thoughts, feelings. There were even things I totally forgot about. I didn't even know that existed in my body or consciousness or emotions, or I don't know what I was unlocking, but it was stored there somewhere in my being, in my body, my energy. So it's so empowering. And I now just can't wait for everyone to continue to connect with you one-on-one. And to go to your website at mirrormeditation.com. And we are totally, Zoom's not going anywhere, FaceTiming family and friends, running our business moving forward. I truly believe it's going to be virtual, being able to present on camera. If you're a real estate, you're selling real estate, whatever it might be, you're going to have to get really good at being on camera. Like, we're even doing virtual travel, which I had been doing for years before the global pandemic, since Facebook first brought out live back in 2017. I've been going in with the camera, talking on camera. So I was getting very used to it. So how we now have to operate, like you mentioned, isn't so new, but it is brand new for millions of people globally.
right.
But I truly believe virtual video is now here and it's not going anywhere. So I encourage everyone, I'll be honest, if you hate seeing yourself on camera, hearing yourself, you can't look at yourself in the mirror. And this is even when you wake up in the morning. You want to run away. You want to get the hell out of there. It's like you're fearing looking at yourself. And I've learnt one thing, Tara: never fear your own abilities or never fear looking at yourself. So do head over to mirrormeditation.com. And Tara, how can we stay in contact with you? On Instagram, it's Tara, Tara .well. So we can stay in touch with you. But you've also got Facebook.
I have we have our Mirror Meditation Facebook page, so you can go to I think if you just search Mirror Meditation, it will come up. My name, Tara Well, Mirror Meditation. We have about 15,000 followers, and we post every day. We post lots of articles on psychology and neuroscience with tips for managing anxiety and developing self-compassion, little meditation tips and videos and things like that. So that's a great way to get a hold of me. I'm also on Twitter. I'm TaraWell88 if you tweet.
Yeah.
And
You're on LinkedIn as well. So great. I'd love everybody to stay in touch.
I send business tips on LinkedIn too. So, and I'll be advertising the how to be more confident on video on my LinkedIn page as well. But definitely sign up for the challenge, the 7-day challenge or the 7-day opportunity
Yes.
at peermeditation.com. So
Beautiful.
yeah,
And for
great.
all of our listeners joining in, take a screenshot or just send a DM or just @ tara.well, @spiritgirl on Instagram. And I'd just be curious, what have you learnt today? Is there one thing you are going to do moving forward? Let me know. Are you going to sign up for the mirror meditation 7-day opportunity? Are you going to be brave and actually do a Zoom, accept the Zoom? Let me know. Are you going to now, the challenge would be get ready before the Zoom, dress like you're going to work. Just super curious to share today from the Spirit Girl podcast show, something you're going to either try, do, or something you've learned, or something if it's resonated with you. So on that note, Tara, we will say goodbye to the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast listeners. It's been an absolute delight having you on the show as always.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for giving up your valuable time to help the Spirit Girl community and global
My
audience.
pleasure.
Always honored, humbled, love, 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 love your work. Just absolutely love what you do. You have helped transform my life. And I tell you what, it's amazing not looking at myself in the mirror and having any self-hate thoughts, not picking myself to pieces like, you're fat, you know, like it's just liberating. It's so liberating. And it's so hard to explain sometimes how liberating it is, but it's when the war's over in your mind, in your inner being, in your thoughts, in your head, or in your body, in your spirit, it's liberating. It's amazing. So I now can't wait for the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast listeners to stay in touch with you and to experience mirror meditation too. So we'll say goodbye. Be sure to subscribe to the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast and to leave a 5-star rating and review, and to follow spiritgirl.com too.